The Midnight Society starts off with Kristen starting yet another chat. Man, I guess they were really pulling for her to be the crush for the boys on the show. Nothing wrong with that. I watched Party 5 and really paid attention when Hewitt joined the cast, but that's another story. The tale starts off in a fine pace. You get introduced to the episode with mistrust in the new neighbors that move into the house across the street immediately. So in this story, I think it plays or tries to play off of misdirection and suggestive things more than anything. The sister in this story, like, she's always suspicious, and her brother is more cautious, like playing off her paranoia. Like, that's what he's almost humoring her in a way, until the end. Later on it changes, but that's how he's reacting to it. She's paranoid, she's a little bit over, imaginative and things like that. But the problem is the misdirection doesn't really work in this one. And not to get critical, but in the middle of this season 1, the stories dip a little bit. But hold on, because the marathon does get better with other episodes. There's some really terrific ones coming up. But if I can say one thing about the Neighbours, the vampires, is, I don't know if this is a word, but they're too vampirish. It doesn't mislead you in any way, and at no point are you really thinking that it's going to end up different from what the sister says. Like, granted, it's not the exact thing that she was right the whole time. So in terms of that, it wasn't really all that misleading. The story essentially leads you to believe that the vampires in the neighborhood are stocking up on supplies. The only issue with me for this is that it cheaply reneges on this a bit with a quick misdirect, only to show the real scheme at the end immediately after. Overall, the build is better than the payoff. The story up until the ending isn't bad, it's just that the ending could have capped off a decent tale. It wasn't dark enough for me compared to some of the other tales. So far, we're on episode 8. The first 3 episodes seem to keep fairly dark. When things take place in the daylight, I think it gets away from the feel because the title of the show centers around dark. I understand they're just tales, but the daylight seems to calm the tension. With a weekly series like this, you can't expect total consistency, and maybe this serves the series fine to change the atmospheric feeling from time to time. As well, by switching up to a more benign ending, it leaves you guessing for future episodes. So for that, I approve the story for the Midnight Society, even though I found it a bit flat and not as strong as the earlier episodes. The moral of the story, as we learned from the Lost Boys, never invite a vampire into your house. The loose ending and the conclusion does leave the door open for more mayhem coming into the small community. Stay tuned for more Marathon. Here we go.